What's going on, everybody? Lewis here. Gonna be bringing you guys a deck setup slash gear setup slash all that stuff. Just giving you guys my setup for 1v1 Jade Juju strat. Because if you guys are death, max level death, and you guys want a PvP, it's hard. I mean, hitting death kind of sucks. The only way you can really kill on death, level 100, is blade stacking and then hitting. But if you blade stack, you can't heal. So there's a little a little kind of a struggle, I'd say, to PvP max level death. So I'm gonna be giving you guys this setup for a Jade Juju strategy. It used to be very, very good pre-Darkmoor, and I apologize for any background noise you may hear. My little brother has his friends over because he's a FWAD. But I just wanted to give you guys that are death a little bit of an edge, and try to get death back into the PvP scene, because in 2v2 they're great, in 3v3, 4v4 they're great if you Jade. In 1v1, if you try to hit on death, it's not too good. So I'm going to be giving you guys the setup. So first off, we're going to start with the gear. For gear, you want full Jade, straight up. So Jade hat, Jade robe, Jade boots. And for your wand, you want Teeth of the Lords of the Night, obviously. Or you could also use this wand if you know who you're going to get, because this one gives the Shadow Blade, 2 Shadow Blades, which is good for Dark Nova, which is mostly how you'll kill every time. Athium, I use Cosmic Chris for the heal boost, so your sacrifices do more. You could use something else, like this, for more block, and it gives accuracy as well. But I just use this because for the more heal boost, I think it's better. Amulet, this is up to you guys. Most deaths use Balance Mastery that do Juju for easy reshuffles and easy balance of spells. Other ones use Life, and they use the wand, the Misty, I think it's one of the Mandolins from the Hydra pack. It gives a Guardian Spirit card. So some deaths will use a Life Mastery and can use that to come back to life multiple times if you shuffle. So that's also a good strat, but I prefer the Balance one. That's what I use. And you can also use a Myth Mastery for Quakes, Bubble Change. If you are death and you have Myth trained, I would recommend the Myth Mastery, because you can shatter for little to no pips, and keep bubble control, because that's one of the hardest things to do. Because if you fight someone and they put up their crit bubble, or they doom and gloom, and you can't change the bubble, you're kind of screwed. So I'd recommend the Myth Mastery if you have Myth trained up to Earthquake. For rings, depends what your rank is. If you're first starting off at 500 rank, I'd probably recommend the Storm Ring, right here. Just because it gives elemental or block and storm, because a lot of storms PvP at the lower ranks. But as you move up into around 7 to 900, I would switch it up to the Fire Ring, because a lot of fires are in that area. Like around the right when you're about to get to Warlord, there's a lot of fires. So I'd recommend using this. It also gives the block. And then once you get around 12 to 1700, in that, like, quite a large range, you can either use the balance or fire. Balance, because you fight other balances or fight balances a lot at that rating. But then again, you also fight fire, and I prefer the Fire Ring over balance at this rating, because you do have the Balance Mastery if you're using that setup. You can spam balance the spells. And so you really don't need the ring, because if they strike, you can just balance the spell. So that's why I prefer the Fire Ring. And for pets, you just want a double resist pet. You don't need anything else special. As long as you have double resist on your pet, you should be fine. The other 3 talents are just optional, really. You can put whatever you want. So here's my pet. It has Fortify, Fairy, and Shatter, along with the double resist. It's a great pet. I don't really use the cards. Maybe the Sacrifice I might use, but that doesn't really matter. The Shatter is very, very good for the strategy, and Fortify is also very, very good, because it just gives you 15 more resist to work with. Cancels out 15 of their Pierce. So Fortify is definitely a great spell to have on your pet. Shatter is really good because it takes off all the shields, which you will be doing anyway. Let's move on. Don't really have it. Just basically your pet, you want double resist. The deck, here's my deck. I'm using the Pip deck. You don't have to. I actually got this Pip deck today when I was questing. But before that, I was using one of these Shane Vaughn Hand of Doom decks. It doesn't really matter what deck you use. The Pip deck is it's obviously preferred because you get another starting pip. And everyone has a pip deck. So, now we're going to get into the setup of the deck. I'm going to explain why I have certain cards in, and explain just pretty much the reason why I have the cards in, and here's the deck. So, I like stun blocks because a stun can lose you the game. It can make or break the game. If you get stunned and they don't have a Juju on, they can combo you very, very easily and just kill you. So stun block is like a necessary. I would recommend cloaking at least one of them, but the other cloaks will be used for the Jujus, obviously. 2 towers. Obviously, you don't want to have a lot of towers because you do Juju a lot, which takes off the towers anyway. So these are just emergencies if you don't have a Juju up or something, where you need to build pips and you're afraid of a hit. You can just tower. It's a great spell just for that. Volcanic shields, I carry 3 because they're mostly for the fires. If you're not really going to fight a storm, so yeah, that's basically it. They're basically for the fires, and if you get a storm, congrats, you have a storm shield. So that's what they're for. If you don't have a Juju up. Then you have the 5 cloaks to cloak the Jujus. I don't really run a lot of cloaks because there's no real reason to run that many, but I think 5 is a good number for this, just to cloak the Jujus and dispels. And I'll talk more about the dispels when we get there. But obviously 1 Colossal for the Cthulhu, 2 Potents to trap stack, because that's how you kill. When you do the strat, you kill by trap stacking and one-shotting them. You don't like spam hits like mostly everyone else does. 2 Primordials to duplicate your heals. I have 1 life dispel, if in case I'm facing a life, and they want to, just, if they strike and you don't have a Juju up, you can just life dispel them. I carry 1 in, and if I am facing a life, I'll cloak it. If I'm not facing a life, I'll mostly just discard it. 2 sprites to get off infections. This is very, very helpful, because if they infection you, you don't want to use 2 pips to sacrifice. You can just use 1 of your little new pips, and you'll probably have a lot of new pips, because you do not have a 100% power pip chance, and you empower a lot. And I'll get to that when we get there. But 1 fire dispel, because, yeah, fire dispel is awesome. I usually cloak it every time because I usually always get a fire, most of the time. So, yeah, usually just cloak that. Once you reshuffle, you'll get 2 of them, and then you can keep cloaking it, and get infinite amount, actually, if you have infinite reshuffles. But, here's Myth Dispel, obviously, mostly because Shatter, because if you have a bunch of shields on, you can just, if you don't really want to Juju spam, or if you're facing a Myth, and you want to play kind of more defensive, because I know some deaths that don't really Juju a lot, that do Jade, they more like shield and then like trap. It's the playstyle is up to you, but I have 1 Myth Dispel for mostly Shatter and to stop them from shattering, to stop them from Myth Dispelling you so you can't shatter, and if you fight a Myth. And I have 1 Crit Bubble for bubble changing. Obviously, you're not gonna really be able to change anything to anything else because you're deaf. So 1 Crit Bubble is fine. I have 1 Cthulhu to enchant with the Colossal, basically for the one-shot with the traps. If you don't have if you don't have 2 Shadow Pips to Nova, or if you, let's say you're out of TC Feints, because TC Feints is something you use. I'll get to the TCs later, but, Cthulhu, very, very good spell to one-shot with, and you can also use the Death Trap. So Cthulhu and Nova is how you're going to kill. Those are the only 2 ways you can kill with this strategy. With the setup I have. I have 2 of these shields. Well, I'll talk about the traps. Obviously, the traps, this for Nova, this trap stack, obvious. These just shields in case I get any of these schools. Empower is your bay in this deck setup with this strategy. If you have low pips, Empower, start Jujuing again. It's a great spell. It's basically what you need to spam Juju. It's only going to do like 80 damage with the resist you have, so it's not really a big deal. Next, the Feints, obviously, for trap stacking. And what I like to do is, if I have a Juju on them, and say I'm first, or if, say if I'm second I have 2 Jujus on them, that's a good time to Feint, because they'll obviously take off the trap when they take off their Juju. So, Feint is a good time if you're first when they have a Juju, or obviously second if they have 2. Obviously the heals, that's self-explanatory. Death Dispels, for 1, if you fight a death, which is very unlikely, and 2, Empower. Empower will wreck you. If people carry Empower, which a lot of them do, this is a great way to stop it. Just Death Dispel them, get 2 on them, because they're not just going to Empower to get it off. And if they do, it's a TC. You can easily outshuffle them. And warning, the matches will be long, yes. They're not normal matches. Some can range from like 10 minutes if you get your Nova up fast and want to kill them fast, or hours they can rage on too. So Death of Spell is very good, especially if they have if they can feint you, it stops that. And obviously, here's the, let's say, the main thing in your entire deck, the Jujus, which is the basis of the strategy. Max Jujus in to spam them, cloak them, and prevent them from hitting while you trap stack. And that is basically what it is. It's the whole deck. The whole strategy revolves around this card. And it's not going to do much damage to you, and it's the -90, as you guys all know. And I have 5 balance of spells since I am using the Balance Mastery, and I like to keep 5 in because you don't want to keep max, just in case you don't fight a balance. And if you do fight a balance, I'd recommend cloaking as many as possible. But the Balance of Spell is very good because if you fight a non-balance school, you can spam Dispel them, and then they can't reshuffle. So once they run out of cards, and they have to use either 4 pips, or if they use TC shuffles, 3 pips, just to get off their Balance of Spell. So you can win just by spamming Balance of Spells and making it so they can't reshuffle, which I've won a few times by doing that. And obviously the Nova, so you can hit, and Shadow Strike. And I'll tell you about this. If you don't have a Nova in your hand and you have the Cthulhu, let's say, and you have 2 Shadow Pips, you can Cthulhu or just Strike and then Cthulhu, which is obviously a thing you can do. Another thing is, once you Nova, and say on the last turn of your Nova, or while you're in Nova, you get a Shadow Pip, you can Strike, and that reduces the Nova backlash and buffs the Nova to make it stronger. It is one of the likes. So, pretty much a Nova, maybe a Dark Pact, feint, and then a Strike is basically dead, if they already have other feints on them. So once you Nova, a common pattern would be to feint, or curse, Dark Pact, or a different feint, a different curse, potent or not, and then Strike, or most of the time, you'll already have most traps on them before you Nova, so you can just not max out the Nova's damage and instead use one of those turns to shatter. But that's basically it for the main deck. Brief explanation. Now I'm going to move into the TCs. TC, here it is. There's your shatters. You obviously need 2 shatters to get them off. I'd recommend putting in 3, but I only put in 2 because my pet has shatter. But I would take out 1 reshuffle and put in another shatter if you don't have shatter on your pet, which most of you won't. But so then I have 2 curse for trap stacking, obvious. 2 dark packs for when I'm in Nova. 4 TC feints, trap stacking. Midnight Sprite, an awesome spell. So basically, if you have a Myth spell on, let's say, and they have shields, and you want to kick them off, you can just use Midnight Sprite. Nova does like it, so what you can do is, like, let's say you use Dark Nova, then you can use Midnight Sprite into, like, 2 traps, and it'll kill it pretty much every time, as long as they don't have shields. So then obviously emergency Jujus. That's what I call these. These are my emergency Jujus if I don't have any in my hand, because it happens quite a lot. You're not always going to have a Juju in your hand, and if you need one, I carry 5 inside just in case you need one and you need to pull one for an emergency situation. If they're in Strike and you need to Juju them, you can have them in your side. And then 2 TC Hex, 4 more trap stacking. And you can do up to like 20k damage with your Nova. So if you have, let's say you have all these on, and like you have this potent, that's 4 traps right there, and that's doing mass. And for the bubble change, I have TC power plays. Since I didn't train balance all the way, I don't have power play to put in my main deck, which I would prefer. So if you do have power play trained on your balance, I would probably take out probably the Myth spell, the Crit Bub, and maybe a Dream Shield or a Tower, and then put in just bubble changes, because a lot of people will crit bubble, and that can mess you up if you're second and can't always have a Juju on them. And if you're first, it's most of the time, if you know how to do this strategy, if you're first, it's an automatic win. Because most people flee. If you're first and you do this, and people see, oh, he's Jade, he's Jujuing, I'm second, a lot of the time they will flee, and you'll get a win. And that's pretty much it. There's 3 ways you can win: Nova, Cthulhu, which is like the hitting way, out shuffling them and like keeping dispels on them so they run out of cards. That's 2, and 3 would be just I just lost what I was going to say. I completely lost my mind. I guess the balance spell spam, where they can't shuffle and then they end up just like fleeing, where you can just kill them. Either way, it's a very reliant strategy, and I think it's one of the best for Death currently, because Death is not that good. It's one of the worst schools. I'd say the best 3 are Balance, Fire, and Life are the 3 best schools, and Myth is pretty bad in 1v1 because they can't heal, and if you stun block against a Myth, you basically win. They can't Medusa, they can't Basilisk. The Myth really revolves around stun, and if you stun block, you're mostly fine. So Myth is pretty bad. Ice is pretty bad because, yeah, you have a lot of resist, but you don't do that much damage. And if you want to use the Life Mastery, you can get crit on a lot, which is also another bad perk about being Ice. If you want to use Life Mastery, you will get crit on. And most of the time you can out-heal their hits, unless you use like Cosmic Crest and Stellar Signet and then go Jade Ice or something, which not a lot of people do. But yeah, guys, basically that is it. Just wanted to show you guys, for you deaths out there that don't really know how to 1v1 and that want to try Jade Juju, here's a setup. Here's what I use, and it's gotten me a decent amount of rank. When I got this, it was a 600 rank. Had a lot of losses. It was even negative, I think, and it was like a captain. So I had to rank this up. I ranked it from about 600 rank to this, just by jading. So it is definitely a reliable strategy. I keep ranking down sometimes due to the I tried hitting death a few times, and it's I'll tell you right now, it is not fun. You just get wrecked because every school out damages you if you're hitting death, and it's really not that good of a strategy anymore. So that's basically it. Hope you guys liked the video. Hope you guys try out the strat. If you're death, go ahead and give it a shot. Yeah, it's going to take a while, but what I definitely do prefer, if you, before going for the kill, try to get at least 3 Jujus on them, or even more, but at least 3 Jujus on them before you go for the kill, and make sure you also have stun block up. So that's necessary. 3 Jujus at least, and 1 stun block, just so they can't hit and kill you while you're Novaing, and they can't stun you to prevent one of your rounds while you're in Nova. So that wraps it up. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you tried it and it worked for you, go ahead and leave a comment saying, "Oh yeah, that worked. That's awesome." But that's about it. I do apologize for not uploading that frequently this week. I've been very sick. I've been in the hospital, in and out. So I just got around to making a video. But yeah, I'll see you guys later, and get ready for more PvP videos coming out soon. Peace.